Hello everyone. Sorry about all of that on screen getting ready, but welcome to Head of the River 2026, our alternative stream, where we will be bringing you every single crew coming past our position here on the headquarters of British Rowing in Hammersmith. I am joined by the salubrious Sasha Castelbranco, back from Women's Head. So Sasha discovered rowing at Hatfield College, Durham. Believe went on to be the media officer and captain of the club, and then has more recently discovered commentating on rowing at numerous British rowing events and Henley Women's, and also Women's Head of the River with us, and now the 8th Head today, or Manhaw as some people are branding it, but we're trying to work out, we think it's an open event because there is a women's crew race today which we will move on to later. I'm also joined by the immense Miles Beeson. So Miles took up rowing at Aberdeen Schools Rowing Association. He was in the junior and under 23 teams for more years than I can remember, and won more gold medals than I can remember. I think it was 3 under 23 golds, was it, in all 3 categories? Is that right?
Well, you're missing out the 2017 Coupe Actor.
I am indeed.
The first ever Coupe Actor.
Coxed Miles many years ago when we were both young ones and won some medals for the Coupe. And then Miles in the last year has been in the GB squad and won a silver medal at the World Championships last year. Just out from this race with a little bit of an injury, but that means he can be here with us to give us his insights. So thank you for coming, Miles and Sasha.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start with the first cruise we'll see coming down. So it's pretty likely, I think, that the headship will go to either Leander or Brooks, the 2 boats that contain the GB squad athletes. What are our thoughts on those 2 boats?
Yeah, so they're definitely the 2 clear favourites here. For the past few years, they've been going back and forth between first and second. Last 2 years, obviously, you've gone to Leander. I was lucky enough to be part of those 2 crews, and I'm pretty gutted not to be in it today. But that Leander crew is incredibly strong. They've brought in... It's quite a different crew to last year, actually. They brought in the 4 guys from the World Champs winning 4 in China, so there's a lot of horsepower, a lot of technique. So for me, I think the question will be how well can they blend that quite distinctive Cambridge style of rowing with the general kind of like GB style that everyone else has. I don't think Leander really has its own style, so to say. But
well, we know that if they're not successful, it's obviously because you're not in the boat. So we can blame it on that if we need to. I think I'm really looking forward to seeing how they match up on the Tideway, and I know that we've been discussing behind the scenes. It will be exciting to see where London fits in with that as well, given their recent success and kind of different Tideway heads. Yeah,
I think so. I think if we're sort of expecting maybe the 2 crews of the GB athletes to come first and second, there's that kind of race for 3rd place. It looks like, there's the Leander second boat of the athletes that train at the club. There's the Brooks second boat, again, athletes that train at the club and are all aiming for that ladies' plate. And this year there's a really strong looking London crew. That squad obviously won the Thames Cup on the Y-Folds at Henley last year, so they're probably looking to enter an intermediate event at Henley this year. So I think from what we've seen, those 3 crews will all be kind of fighting it out, trying to get on that podium and get that 3rd place as well. I mean, I'll just talk about, I was out with them the other day. I've seen both the Leander and Brooks crew. There's a really strong Brooks lineup as well. A couple of Olympic bronze medalists from the 4 in Ollie Wilkes and Freddie Davidson in there. They've also got a rower from the Swiss pair at the World Championships last year who won a bronze medal in the bow seat, Jona Plock. So they've got a pretty strong lineup as well. I think we're going to see another of these really fantastic races that, go down to, I mean, a few years ago we had a dead heat. I think 3 years ago it was about 2 seconds. I think we're going to see another one of those really close battles between Leander and Brooks for the headship.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's quite a few unknown variables coming into the mix, especially in the form of Ollie Wilkes coming back from just working a full-time job for a long time, but he's been training on the side. I know he's been pulling some good erg scores, so that's an Olympic medalist in the boat, so he could be one of the best guys in that field. It really depends how quickly he's managed to get back into finding his feet, really, and as well with the Swiss rowers, obviously incredible in the pair, but how will that translate into the quite distinctive Brooks rhythm? They certainly do have a style of rowing, very front-ended, and so that can be really helpful for athletes coming back from Cav when they all know exactly how they're trying to row. So that's definitely an advantage, I'd say, that the Brooks crew has.
And sort of, Miles, how is the dynamic? Obviously, these guys, you train together all year, you race together for the country, but you also, I suppose, come out into your own clubs for fours head and eights head to race against each other, and I suppose also race each other for selection. So how is that dynamic of you training together, being in the same boats for GB, but also racing against each other for your clubs? What's that like?
Everyone gets really excited about it. We don't get many chances to let loose and have a race like this. So like we have testing throughout the year, but a lot of that's, I suppose, time trial format, but it's not this kind of amphitheatre of a rowing battle, really, where there's thousands probably of people watching, and it's a very, very different atmosphere. It's like, obviously Leander's come on a bit in recent years relative to Brooks. There's a lot of change going on at Oxford Brooks as well, as I'm sure everyone is very well aware. Ali Brown in his first headship as head coach, so it'll be really interesting to see how that goes, really. So it's like there's a lot of excitement, really, and I know everyone really enjoys going back and training at the clubs, whether that's in Henley for Leander or going back to Oxford for the Brooks guys.
Yeah, you mentioned Ali Brown there, and this is certainly a big day for him. Sort of, it's probably the first really big show of Brooks rowing under him and assistant coach Morgan Bainham-Williams on the men's side. I've got to say, it seems like he's doing a great job, working really hard to fill those shoes. I think he's a great fit for that program in terms of his personality. You know, he's a guy with a lot of energy, and he likes to lead a big squad and sort of build a culture. And he's been working super hard. He's been getting down at the boathouse at 5:30 to make porridge for the athletes to have between their sessions and things like that. So big day for him. It seems like Brooks is really rebuilding, and our very own Rory, one of the founders of the company, as an alumnus and part of the alumni committee there, I know has been helping out a lot to try and get that program back on its feet. So there's been some guys, I think, working really hard to build that program back up after what's happened. I mean, looking to the student event now, the Bernard Churcher Trophy, of course we'll see the Brooks third boat racing for that. And then perhaps the other strongest contenders are UL, who we haven't seen too much of, but put in a good performance at Hammersmith Head, and Durham were the winners of Bucks Head quite conclusively. So what do we think we're going to see there in the student category?
I mean, obviously I have absolutely no bias, but I think Durham have a really good chance, especially having come from Bucks Head. I mean, the Tyne is a rough river to row, so I think if you can do the Tyne, you can do the Tideway. And so I'm really excited to see where they place. I'm also really excited for UL, considering their placement at Weehawr. Their women came out of nowhere to, I think, place third, was it? So it's just absolutely fantastic to see that kind of talent coming out of student clubs. And so potentially this shows something that they're building towards, perhaps for Henley Women's Henley Regatta. And actually, just to draw our attention to the river, we can see the first crew.
Yeah,
we've got
I think that is
the beautiful
Leander.
blades of Leander making their way towards us. So I'm sure that we will be switching towards our river camera in just a second. But Miles, how does it feel standing up here? I mean, I think that being injured and watching your crewmates race is something that most rowers have experienced at some point, and can be a little bit heart-wrenching, but also just really nice that you can be on the side and still support them. So how are you feeling right now? What do you think is happening in that boat at the moment?
I'm so excited. It looks like a big gap, actually. It looks like a much bigger gap from Leander to Brooks, and that Thames crew behind Brooks actually looks like they're
they look like they're doing some
moves.
damage.
So I was, like I said, I was really gutted to be missing out, but I know those guys, they did the fixture against Cambridge the other week right after they'd done a 2K. I didn't get to do that either, and a lot of them pulled really, really good scores, and then they were given a really tough draw having to race a very good boat race Cambridge crew, and so I know a lot of them are really out for revenge, really, with this. They don't feel they're able to give fair reflection. They've been working hard this week, and I think you can see they're making really good progress as they come under Hammersmith. You
absolutely can. You've got a beautiful shot there of that Leander 8 heading underneath Hammersmith. The sun is glistening off George Bourne's head. There are going to be some meme pages out on Instagram. Very excited for the content that AllMarkOne will be providing today.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just watching them as they come under Hammersmith. Look pretty good for this stage in the race. I'm sure anyone who's raced this before knows that normally by this point in the race your forearms are really starting to burn. No matter how well you're rowing, you've got to really be careful to make sure you're being loose, staying sharp, and that cleanness that you can develop by doing that really pays dividends in that last 2k of the race.
You're absolutely right, and I think that's what distinguishes a good crew from a great crew. And not to call it too early perhaps, but when Leander came past, I mean, it just looked effortless, and that's how you know that rowing is good, because you know that in the boat, God, it feels bad. But that Brooks crew were coming through, again, looking smooth, looking clean, but it just did not look like they had the same power behind their blades as Leander did. Whereas Thames coming through looked like they're at least matching Brooks. So it will be interesting to see where they end up in terms of timing to each other.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder what Tom Bryce is saying in that seat. We don't know how big that initial starting gap was, but to me it looks like Leander must have moved. Like, from my experience, I don't think we ever had that big of a gap. And Tom Bryce, he's an aggressive cox. He normally likes to get up close, and they'll want to put pressure on Leander early on. And so he'll be doing his best to keep their heads. He'll be on the absolute perfect line, so they know that that's totally sorted. But again, in front, Jack Totham, a very, very experienced tideway cox, and he's not going to be making any mistakes.
No, and this is not the place to be making mistakes, because I think, especially if you haven't rowed on the tideway, the stream makes such a difference. And so I feel like as we get further and further into the race, you'll see people taking slightly different lines to each other. But I will say that at least those top three crews, when they came round the bend, they looked like they were just kind of in the same position every time. So hopefully it will just be power that they're contending with, and not also the stream and the wind.
Here we've got this London crew that we've mentioned. They're looking incredibly tidy on their home water, of course. So again, you've got a club that's not going to make any mistakes. I believe they've got Rory Copus, an absolute veteran of the sport, coxing them, having made a comeback into the coxing seat this year. So I know he will be driving them on with the energy that we've seen in his recordings from the last 10-15 years.
On the screen now you have the classic and very recognisable light blue of the Cambridge third 8, I believe it is.
Yes, I think so, and they look very good for a third 8. I think it's a really strong squad this year. Like we were mentioning earlier, in the top boat beating the Leander GB athletes in the fixture last weekend. I think this is the second boat from London, so massive depth in that squad. Really strong second boats. I think they placed 2 8s in the top 10 last year. I'm sure they'll be looking to do the same this year. But I think Thames might have something to say about that with their flotilla of 8s as well.
I think you might be right. And I have to say, again, if you're new to rowing, or if you're just watching to support friends or family, you'll notice that a lot of the first few boats are kind of the same. And that will be Thames, Leander, Oxford Brookes and London. And that's just because where you start is based on your previous finishing positions, and so these top crews are just that consistent that they are always at the top and will stay there. Now, I think that is the purple of that UL boat that we were looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, chasing down the Leander gap here, kids, I think.
Absolutely. How would you rate that 3-seat?
We're starting to rate my 3-seat early.
I think pretty good. I think that's Joe Middleton at 3. I think he was in UL's victorious Prince Albert 4 at Henley last summer, so pretty good rower to have in the 3-seat.
Old crewmates. And yeah, you always want him in the boat. He does it scrappy sometimes, but he will be putting down some of the highest watts in that boat, I'm sure of that.
So I think we're on to the Cruiser Student Pennant. I think UL, must have won that last year. They were the first one to come down, and now we've got the Brooks Student boat, so their third boat coming down today, but their top academic boat coming past. And it's closely followed by their fourth 8, I think. So I think this is another open boat rather than academic, so they've put all the students into that third boat, and then this is another one with, I think, a mix of students and non-students, as of course it is an open club there.
Yeah, definitely. I think there was some shuffling around in those Oxford Brookes boats to kind of prioritise that student event, so it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out between their second and third boats, really.
Yeah, it certainly will. I mean, they had Jamie Copus come back, and another one of the rowers from the Swiss pair in that second boat, so very strong crews across the board there.
Now, I think coming down, we've got the light blue of Edinburgh University Boat Club. That's bow number 15 coming across your screen now. As as I mentioned, if you are anywhere along the bank and watching the live stream as well as the river, you can see that the race lines are starting to get slightly squiggly. Not everyone is taking the same line, so that will start to affect how people are able to place their power and where they might end up placing. But it's very exciting to see Edinburgh starting so far up. It's great to see the representation from more northern clubs who've made such a trek to come down to the Tideway.
Edinburgh I think was second at Buckshead to Durham. I think not a crew to discount. I think they always perform very well on the Tideway. Another one from the north, we've got Newcastle here. I'm sure our very own Max will be giving them a cheer as they come past. So I think they were fourth at Buckshead.
This is Marlow.
And yes,
So it looks like this Marlow crew's got a lot to be excited about. That's Jake Winkham in the stroke seat. My housemate Shauna is coaching them as well, so it looks like they're taking a good line there. But yeah, it looks like they're making some ground on Newcastle. Yeah,
I think they were winners of the Page Trophy for the fastest upriver club on the Thames last year, and I imagine they will be looking to do the same this year. We've got the first of our sort of foreign crews now. I think that's Commercial Rowing Club Ireland coming past us.
Yeah, they are followed closely by the beautiful Palatinate Blades of Durham University. Durham making their way down, as we said, on the back of a nice win at Buckshead. Durham are often known to get Victor Ludrum overall and in the men's, mostly the women's, at Buckshead. So they've got a very good student programme, but they've also got very intense academic schedules to contend with. So yeah, it's always impressive to see them doing so well. Hopefully they place.
Yeah, I think they've got a really strong squad this year. Big depth across the squad, and a fantastic coach in Will Fletcher, who of course rode there and started coaching the novices many years ago. Came down south, represented Great Britain at Rio and won a silver medal at the Worlds, and is now back there as head coach, and really fantastic coach they've got.
Definitely, yeah. This is a tricky event for a lot of northern crews as well, because you're much less likely to have had Tideway experience, and it's a long minibus ride. I'll tell you that. I used to have to do that 7-8 times a year, and from Aberdeen that's a 10-12 hour minibus ride, which is not fun at all, and a lot of the time you're cramped up in little hotel rooms. So I'm always very impressed when those crews that have travelled a long way turn up and do really well here.
I think you're so right, and especially because a lot of them are contending with academics, whether it's university, whether it's they've travelled down with their school. They're not able to come down and spend even the week before kind of training heavily and making sure that they're as familiar with the Tideway as they can be. But yeah, it's always, sorry, I'm really distracted by this. I think that this is a Brooks Imperial battle. I mean, I can't see the bow number on that Brooks crew, but I'm going to assume that it's their F crew, followed by Imperial. But Imperial are really closing that gap.
Yeah, that's going to be an overtake.
Yeah, quite possibly. Imperial under a new coach, head coach this year, Dave Loveday, another fantastic coach. And yeah, looking to, I think, move up the order again in terms of the student crews, and it looks like they're doing a really good job of that. I think they had some good wins at Fours Head. Quite a bit of depth in this one. I think they won the intermediate 8s at Bucks Head, but were 5th in the championship 8s. So perhaps they're sort of looking at how they can strengthen that first 8 and make that super fast for today. And of course, home water for them. They're going to know where to go.
Absolutely, and just a reminder, we're at Hammersmith Bridge, so they've already done about 4k of this 6.8k race, but that still means that they have almost 3 kilometres to go. And as we see Imperial and Brooks round the corner, heading down that home straight, it looks like you're right, Miles, an overtake is definitely on the cards.
We must mention, I think, Bristol there, who just went past a couple of crews ago, who were the bronze medalists at Bucks Head, another very strong student programme as well. But yeah, some really strong student boats up at this end of the race.
I think this might be our first Vesta crew.
There we go, they've got a bucket in there. We haven't seen too many of them so far, I'd say.
No, I don't think I saw any at Women's 8, so this is very exciting. Miles, would you like to talk us through the physics and the dynamics of a bucket?
I'm not going to get into that, because it wouldn't be rowing commentary if someone didn't try and explain a bucket, and so I'm just going to pass that one on. Just watch any Henley race, and when they start running out of things to talk about, they'll start talking about a bucket. But here we have another Thames crew. Just the depth of these programmes is just staggering to me. Most of these guys will be working full-time jobs, training whenever they get a chance, and we're down to the EF boats, and
for some of those top crews. I think this is the A crew from Agecroft Rowing Club, so they were the winners of the Jackson Trophy last year for the fastest club crew that doesn't train anywhere on the Thames. A bit of a rivalry with Royal Chester they have, so Royal Chester were the winners of the Jackson in 2023 and 24, and Royal Chester on their home water last weekend at the North of England Head did beat Agecroft out for the win there, so that's another very interesting battle that we'll see today. We've got the St Paul's 8 looking to avenge their Schools Head loss. I think Shiplake are racing today as well, so it'll be interesting to see can Paul's overturn that result from a couple of weeks ago back on the Tideway.
I think they're going to do a very good job because they've already they've overtaken Marlow, so they're already well on their way to bringing a pretty fast time, considering they're overtaking club crews. Yeah,
and you always know with St Paul's, Bobby Thatcher will have drilled those boys really well. Always very tidy crews from St Paul's. Got Hampton here as well, Westminster, so a really good contingent of junior crews up, near the sharp end of this race. It's good to see that these crews do the Schools Head, but also keep on race form and come and do the Eights Head as well.
I will say I have a bit of a soft spot for the Westminster squad because my first ever women's Eights Head, I dislocated my shoulder under Hammersmith Bridge, and I thought that I was just kind of one of those people who's very unlucky. And then I went to watch Hoare a couple of weeks later, and one of the Westminster boys caught an ejector crab under Hammersmith, so I think he has me beat.
Well, with some luck, we'll see one of them today. People getting tired in the later stages of this races. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Some splashes, yeah.
You never want to wish ill upon any boat, but at the same time, it always makes for very entertaining rowing, especially in head races when things start to get a bit spicy.
To quote Martin Cross, we do like it when things get sensational.
Starting to bunch up here, so we might be seeing some clashes soon. Looking out onto the horizon, there's, 4 or 5 boats within a few hundred metres of each other?
Yes, yeah, it's bunching up. I suppose when we look up the river from here, they always look closer than they are, but I think I think that looks like Tideway Scullers and is it Shiplake? You're right, yeah. I have not been doing well on my identifying of colours from a distance this year, so I will leave that to you, Miles. But yes, who is that they are overtaking?
It looks like it could be Oxford.
Yeah.
Is there an Oxford third 8? But yeah, strong stuff from Shiplake here. They're looking like one of the better school crews that we've seen so far, I'd say. St Paul's really looked like they were laying down a really nice rhythm.
We're just trying to figure out who all these crews are.
That is Molesey. And Shiplake are right alongside them.
Shiplake are clearly not going to give Paul's any space on the timesheets for this. We were just trying to figure out off mic what kind of wind we're dealing with today, and I think we've got a mix of a bit of a tailwind but also a crosswind, so I'm not surprised that crews are starting to bunch up ever so slightly and kind of get into each other's water.
Yeah, it did look quite choppy out there for the first few crews. If they were getting it right, I'm sure it was nice fast conditions because it is tailwind with a bit of cross, but looking a little bit calmer now, slightly nicer water. I think we've got Durham third 8 just going under Hammersmith Bridge there. I think this looks like a crew from Abingdon, another UL boat.
Yeah, they've done well to hold off those older university students up to there.
Yeah, so that's UL second 8, and I think that might be, is that Durham's third boat, so second boat, sorry. So, a bunch of student crews there. Durham B, I think it was Durham.
There's another
Durham.
So
crews
Durham C were possibly starting ahead of Durham B there, I guess, because after the first 30 crews, the start order is based on the crew's RPI rowing points. You can see things like that where the C crew starts in front of the B crew, but 2 very tidy looking boats from that Durham squad. I think we've got another St Paul's boat, perhaps their second 8. Again, a very tidy crew, as we would expect from Bobby Thatcher's squad.
I think they're coming into a lovely patch of sunlight is the Royal Chester Rowing Club A crew. They've got Nick Cerulis there, I think in the 3 seat, who did a bit of trialling for the Paralympics. He's got a visual impairment, and it's just wonderful to see kind of all abilities, all heights, all manner of things represented in these boats. And Yeah, you've got a bit of a soft spot for the Royals.
I have
might I
indeed,
say?
yes. No, I've done a little bit of coaching down there and known some of those guys for many years. So there's, I think, 4 of their Britannia Challenge Cup finalist crew from 2024 in there. The Cox, Sarah Armstrong, and 3 of the athletes in that boat today. And of course they won the North of England Head last weekend, beating Agecroft. So they'll be looking to fight for the Jackson Trophy, having won that in 23 and 24 and lost out on that last year.
Do we have any results yet?
We are trying to refresh. And that's London Rowing Club on your screen now.
It's always a very, very tense row back up to wherever you boated from while you're waiting for the results to load. Most of the crews I've been in always managed to convince ourselves that it's all gone horribly, horribly wrong.
The Cox has to get their phone out and keep refreshing
exactly.
try and keep one hand on the steering and one hand on the phone to get the results. Now I think this is a star-studded tourist boat we've got on your screen now. So this is the Oxford Brookes alumni. I think someone was saying there might be as many as 40 Henley medals on board this crew. Looking pretty tidy, as they say. Form may be temporary, but class is forever.
God, it's really not easy. If those guys aren't rowing regularly, it's really not easy just to jump back in a boat like that. So, especially in the later stages of the race, which is where we're watching at Hammersmith. So they're looking surprisingly good, may I say, at this stage. But there's just so much experience in that boat.
And what would your race plan be in a crew like that, Miles? Would you sort of race it flat out to Barnes and try and get out as quick as possible?
Oh, you've got to. I don't know any of the markers on this course, and yeah. So I really, until the last couple of years at Gateshead, I hadn't had much rowing experience on the Tideway, so it always confused me a bit, a lot of the markers, so you've just got to go as hard as you can, really.
Yeah, we've got another little bunch of crews together. We've got an Imperial boat, a Kingston crew, and is that Bath University, I believe? I think I can see a gold stripe down that blue.
There's a GB athlete in the 5 seat of the Kingston boat. Matt Rowe chose to represent his home club of Kingston, so he's been there training with them this week, having a really good time.
Fantastic.
And so they're looking to move up the ranks, and it looks like they're doing pretty well. They're having a good battle with Bath there.
Absolutely. I mean, and obviously at the same level, we've got the ex-HCBC Hatfield College Boat Club men's captain, Dan Smith, in that crew, who's just come out of Cambridge's Wolfson College Boat Club and has also thrown himself into Kingston quite readily. So, hey, maybe they're friends.
Yeah, they might be. It's another star-studded lineup. I think they might even have Matt Long, who's a rising star in British sculling at the moment. So yeah, watch out for the red and white of Kingston.
Absolutely. Gosh, we've got, it seems like a bit of a battle paddle here. I mean, I think that is Nottingham University Boat Club A versus, that'll be Newcastle's B crew. I think Max is sat behind us biting his fingernails.
No, Newcastle!
Got a lot of support.
I didn't know we were allowed to shout. I'd have been yelling the whole time.
It would have been great to know that before.
Just want to say we are completely unbiased journalists on this rooftop with no biases or affiliations whatsoever.
And here, this is another London crew, is it?
It looks like it, doesn't it? I think we're on to number 50.
That is.
See, this is why you want distinctive.
London Rowing Club's
London
G crew.
G
There you go. This is why you want distinctive all-in-ones, so that commentators can tell from a distance who you are and you don't get confused. So.
Absolutely. We've got the distinctive French blades of Oxford Brookes.
And then that's UCD, I hope. Chasing them down, is it?
That, I
Or is it
believe,
Teddy?
is St Andrews. It might be. Yes, I think we're going to move over from trying to figure things out from a very high vantage point to watching the live stream so that we can bring you slightly more accurate an idea of what's going on.
That's St Andrews with the cross in their blades.
Yeah.
So that's another crew that will have had a long journey down. But St Andrew, I raced them a lot. I was a junior in Scotland, and that seems to be a club that's just grown and grown in recent years. So it's great to see that they've got a crew down here. Is that Latimer?
That, I think, is Shannon Rowing Club Ireland.
No, I don't know anything. Go Shannon Rowing Club.
Do you know what? What I do know about them is that they've got a very, I think, a very good beach sprint rowing club, I believe.
Well, they're handling the tideway water very well as they come under Hammersmith. They'll be getting a big roar from the crowd there. And it looks like we've got an international crew here, I believe.
Yes,
I think that looks like Celle Rudolverein, Germany. So, not someone we know much about, but a very tidy-looking club crew who've made the journey over.
Okay, we've got crews 71 and 73. That is Dublin University Boat Club and Nottingham Rowing Club having a bit of a face-off. Now, Dublin look like they are slightly fighting the water here. I think are doing a really good job. Again, another crew who won't have had the opportunity to really come down and get as familiar with the tideway as possible. But I think this is Nottingham Club doing a very good job. I believe it is their three-seat, if I'm not mistaken, who is in the Nottingham Mixed Four at British Rowing Beach Sprint last year. Nottingham did a fantastic job of getting into the water, both in their boat and then capsizing. But, you know, that's what happens on the ocean. So
it does indeed.
I think this might be Celle Rudolverein.
Got another crew from Vesta on your screen now. I think we will see another very big contingent from Vesta today. They, of course, had the biggest entry at the Women's Head a couple of weeks ago. Very popular club down on the Putney Embankment. I think that looks like City of Bristol there.
And I believe another
panning over to a
Vesta?
Bristol University crew, I think. Similar colours to Vesta, but that is Bristol University. Right behind their local club, City of Bristol. Now it's the distinctive orange,
We know that
as you
one.
like to say, Sasha, of Lee
know
Rowing
that
Club.
one. And is that in 5-seat Luca Ferrara of
Cambridge fame, yes.
Layback
Boat race
rowing
winner,
fame.
and
Oh,
indeed,
yeah.
it may well be.
Make sure to follow their journey along. They're doing a lot of really cool stuff in rowing. They're doing a singles race soon, I think, as well, aren't they? If they haven't already done.
Who's your money on?
Seb, I don't know. A bit more of a workhorse.
I feel like
From
you
what I've
have to say Seb. Seb is currently on the official Head of the River live stream, having a very good time with what we actually forgot to say earlier is the 100th Head of the River race.
I think it's the 100th anniversary. I think there might be one or two missed, but yeah, the first one was in 1926, I believe. But please don't go and watch that stream.
Ours is significantly better.
We will show you every crew without any chopping and changing. And the umpire's launch as well.
Yeah, which is obviously incredibly important.
And here's another boat from Newcastle University. Perhaps we will hear a cheer again from our very own Max.
That is
Cover your
Newcastle
ears.
C.
Newcastle C, a very tidy looking third eight. Distinctive blades with the blue star. That classic style as coached by Angelo Savarino. Very distinctive sort of club culture and rowing style there.
So who's going to win the boat race of the North this year?
Durham.
I'm going to say Durham as well, I think,
Aha.
from what I've seen.
And there is no bias coming from Will.
And I I don't know their coach Will Fletcher at all. I have no opinion on him whatsoever. No, he's good. He's a good coach. And that looks like another boat from Marlow Rowing Club.
I think that's their C crew. That's crew 83.
It's a really tidy looking third eight. I think that's a really strong squad Marlow have got there. Yeah, another great coach there, Jamie Axon, a very talented rower at Brooks, and then started his coaching at Leander on their sort of coaching apprenticeship, and then stepped into the head coach role at Marlow Rowing Club and has done a fantastic job there with Henley wins and getting a quad to the final in the Prince of Wales. So yeah, a really great programme.
It's been really amazing watching what they've done at Marlow, actually. A lot of people really enjoying going there, and it's emerging as really another option outside of London where people can go and develop in their rowing careers, win Henley events, and so it's great. The more of that in British rowing, the better, I think.
It's just, yeah, certainly. I think we just saw Kew House School, winners of the school first eights at School's Head, going to the bridge, followed by City of Cambridge. Another crew who will be looking to fight for that Jackson Trophy, and the home club of our very own Alex, who is on Hammersmith Bridge. Don't think we can quite see him, taking some fantastic photos, which will be available to view on www.allmark.one, as you can see at the bottom of your screen.
So we just had the Crew 87 Tyne Amateur Rowing Club A go past another northeastern powerhouse. They are being followed by Crew 89 Tideway Scholars School A. Now, I can see that there are people on the live stream in the comments, very excited for Collingwood. I know I am too. This is one of the Durham colleges. So Collingwood College Boat Club will be coming down, Crew 88, in just a second. Tideway Scull is looking very clean, I must say. Now, I have to say, that's quite a confusing boat for me because I'm very used to seeing the kind of very aggressive black and red of Collingwood College. They are always a beast on the weir. Seeing them in these new uni suits, well, I hope that they have the watts to prove that they have earned a top 8 set of unis.
Oh. The
So,
gauntlet has been thrown down.
I like the idea of having different unis. I think that's quite a fun thing, having to earn those stripes.
I would enjoy it, but I think that they just like having lots of different uni suits because they had a new set when they went and did a set of regattas in France, and I think that they just I think there are some artists now, they clearly like designing kit.
This here is the Thames Women's First 8 who have entered the 8's Head today. So I think we saw a few years ago when the Women's Head was cancelled, it being opened up to women, but it's rare that we see a women's crew racing at 8's Head, and I've got to say they look very tidy, very good indeed. It'll be interesting to see how they've placed them into the starting order, because of course you don't have, I suppose you have times, but if you're basing it on the RPI points, it's hard to draw the direct comparison. So I imagine they will either have a really strong overtaking run or maybe not, but it looks like they are moving and opening up a gap on their male club mates here.
Yeah,
in
so
the Thames, is that the G crew?
In the G crew, yeah. So
yes.
The women were racing as the F crew. That was one of the crews I was incredibly excited to watch go past. I am thoroughly enjoying their use of stick-on moustaches for this crew. I think that we should bring that back for Movember as well. But
Are they racing in them?
yeah. Well, I think it's one of those things, your face gets quite sweaty when you're racing, so they end up falling off. But I definitely saw Stroke and Six still
excellent.
looking
Good for them.
stashed up.
It looked like they, I think, had pulled away from their G crew from the men. So
indeed,
very strong row from them.
The pink crew that you just saw on your screen was Westminster School Boat Club B, looking pretty strong for a junior crew, I must say. Now, if you, like us, are scrambling to try and find the results for Head of the River, fear not, no one can get to them. So it's absolutely fine, and I think that means that you should just really focus on the live stream, enjoy where we are. I mean, what crew is this? That is Neptune Rowing Club Island B, another fantastic overseas crew come to treat our tideway to a little bit of international buzz.
Let's just hope they didn't forget to start the stopwatch at the start. Be a long race to redo. But the thing about this race, it's such a long course, but the margins can still be so fine. So I did race the Fours Head earlier this year, and we lost out to our teammates, I suppose, at Oxford Brookes by 0.1 of a second over the entire course, which really just shows every single stroke
absolutely counts.
Does count.
I mean, that's the thing with rowing, isn't it? It's almost the ultimate team sport, because it's not just that you're doing the sport with people, you almost have to be one with them, otherwise it just doesn't work, because it's not just about strength, it's about rhythm, it's about how you fit together as a crew. And so if not everyone fully commits the entire time, you end up losing that extra, sometimes just a 0.001. And so it's, as you say, every stroke counts.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a trade-off probably when you're getting to this part of the race, because it's like, do you push harder with your legs? If that means it's more likely that you're going to, say, catch a crab and slow the boat down.
Yeah,
so,
and you've got to remember, of course, Hammersmith people coming to the bridge and think, I'm on the home run now, but there's still 40% of the race left to go from here, so you do have to just stay on your rhythm and not get too excited too early, but equally make every single stroke count. You can't back off for one either. So it is really, especially for crews that are sort of training for the 2K distance, majority of the time it's a big change to jump in and do a 6.8K race. I mean, how is it, Miles, doing a program that's orientated towards 2K racing at the World Championships and the Olympics, and then suddenly doing a race that's 3 times as long?
It's certainly difficult. I think a lot of the time we're in the quite lucky position that we've just come back from a training camp in Portugal, so you've been doing a lot of long mileage, a lot of quite hard long pieces, and so it's not as alien as you might think. It's almost more strange for us to do a 2K race at this point of the season. So there's you've got a lot of fitness coming off the back of winter from being on the erg all the time, and so now is just really a chance to lay that down, and that's why the physiology in these boats is just so important.
What do you think physiologically really changes between if you are training in kind of that traditional head race versus kind of regatta season? Like in that, what is often an Easter break for people, what do you have to change about the training that you're doing to make sure that you can transition from that kind of long, heavy racing to really fast sprints?
So I always find that just adding in some extra sprint training really starts to make quite a big difference at that point of the year. It's like perhaps some of the mileage might come down, but it means that what you are doing becomes even more important, as you just have to keep on sharpening up. You have to really look at what you're doing as a crew and not just individually, and prioritize the areas that are going to make you as a crew faster.
And in terms of the sustenance that you think might make your crew faster, what would your top 3 kind of pre-race carb loads or general kind of training meals be?
I'm a big fan of pasta the night before. I think for even a race at this time of the day, it's a lot of what you've eaten the night before that will be paying the bills later in the race. A lot of people want to have, depending on how strong your stomach is, a lot of people don't want a big breakfast the day of, so really in the days leading up to the race you want to be getting as much in as possible, really, is what I would say. And it's interesting, I wonder how many of these crews are using bicarb and some of those other supplements for the race. I'm sure certainly in the Leander and Brooks crew they'll be bicarbed up to the gills in some case, anything to make this race slightly less painful. And as well as that, something that more and more crews are starting to have now is those telemetry screens, which really, really makes a massive, massive difference over this over the course of this race, and it does in fact change how this is raced. It's much less of a go off as hard as you can and try not to blow. It's like, right, we're going to hold these consistent watts for as long as we can and hold that hand in the fire. So that's definitely changing the way that this race is executed.
I mean, I can imagine even just that addition of telemetry, rowing today versus maybe rowing 50 years ago, it must be just a completely different sport, because you can actually have a complete race plan for every individual athlete, and you can have those numbers to hit for every part of the race. I just want to return to your comment about bicarb, because, and I don't know whether it's just I wasn't rowing at an incredibly high level, but my pre-race gig was a caffeine gel and as much of one of those kind of pre-jelly gelatin packets as I could possibly eat whilst I was marshalling. Talk to me about bicarb. What are its uses? Why is it that it's kind of come into the limelight recently?
Yeah, so bicarb is definitely something that's being used more and more. It's been used at the very top level for quite a long time, and just to preface this, I would say it's something I would only really suggest using if you're kind of already maxing out your performance already. If you're already training 3 times a day and eating the right food, getting the right amount of sleep, then maybe it's something that can help you. If you're not doing any of those other things, it's not going to help you. And I've tried it myself, where at the start of the season I haven't been fit, I've bicarbed, and I've still felt absolutely terrible, because at the end of the day the purpose of it is to reduce the lactate acid in your legs. And
I guess if you don't have the fitness to back it, you're going to get more lactic acid because you don't have the same kind of anaerobic ability. Then
exactly, yeah. And if you're not fit, you can't do the splits.
Yeah,
and so it doesn't.
Bicarb's not going to help.
Yeah, so I've had it before where it's like I haven't been able to hit the splits, and it might not hurt as much, but you almost feel worse because you're like, I don't feel that bad, but I just can't get the legs working enough. So it's something to, if you're really at the top level looking to eke out the last couple 0.1 or 2 of a seconds on a 2K test, then maybe it's something to consider. But otherwise, there's normally always something
else that can help. Yeah. So if you are a college crew watching this from your C crew, thinking about what you can do for regatta season, don't take bicarb.
Just take some more caffeine.
Take some more caffeine. Do your ergs.
This is not medical advice. But I think, so caffeine's another interesting one. I'm sure a lot of this field will have taken some caffeine before going out, and I've always found that it's very diminishing returns when it comes to caffeine, especially when you don't know how long you're going to be sitting at the start line. And that's something, especially for this race, some of these crews are sitting up on the start for hours.
Yeah.
And you're freezing by the time you get to the top, and so it's really, really difficult. Oh, sorry, I'm just going to interrupt myself here. This is Aberdeen Boat Club, so that's my brother in the 6th seat, I believe. I think he's wearing a feather and square cap as well. So Aberdeen Boat Club, that's got to be one of the strongest 8's head crews they've ever put out, I would say. So very happy to see them go by. They're looking incredible. I'm sure they're going to be moving up a lot in these rankings. I think it looks like they might already have overtaken a crew or two, and I think they'll get another one before the finish. So we can lock back into the crews going by now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that Aberdeen are also going to be doing exceptionally well because their hands are just so healed.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
Why would that be, Miles?
Oh, yeah, well, I'm not going to get too into that, but yeah.
I do have to say, so my mum rose at Marlow, and she rowed at Oxford when she was at university, then rowed at Thames for a little bit, and then stopped rowing because she moved overseas. But I had such a great time when I was at uni. She was like, okay, well, clearly I need to go back to this because this is, the reason for living. But she spent the first couple of months coming back every time and having to sit with her hands in a Savlon bath. And where this is all leading is that my mum wants me to say thank you very much to you, because the whole of the Marlow Masters beginners women now use feather and square. Because,
oh, wow. Well, there we go.
Yeah, no, their hands are good, so this is your sign. It works, ladies and gentlemen.
Good. Well, I'm very, very pleased to hear that. Before I got into developing feather and square, I'd just heard of all these wacky remedies. People sleeping with their hands in bags of rice to dry it out. People doing all sorts of things to keep their hands moisturized, and yeah, just the effort that people were going to. Maybe some of them worked, but there were a lot of effort, and so at least feather and square will heal your hands in a day or two. And I've actually been using it preventatively. If you apply it beforehand, it actually makes a really, really big difference.
I think I could have really used that when I was at uni, because there was one point where I absolutely destroyed my hands in pre-season training, and my answer to that was taking a couple of ibuprofen and then soaking my hands in what do you call that? Alcohol rub.
Oh God.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And do you know what? It did it for me. I have quite soft hands, and I think it solved the problem for me. But it does mean that they've kind of got permanent scars on them, so it's okay,
I always managed to avoid getting any blisters actually. But
oh, look at that! There's no
that's
sharp
so
steering
strange.
wheel.
I wonder why.
Oh, here we go. We've got 3 abreast.
Whoa.
Oh, that's very
Almost.
exciting. I love it when you get that kind of racing at a head race, because I feel like it's all well and good watching the people that you love and you work with do a sport that they love really, really well. It's wonderful to support. It's great to see the timings afterwards. But there's something about a kind of side-by-side racing that, especially in a head race, you kind of don't expect it. So when it happens, it gives your crew a kick. It's really exciting. I mean, this Newcastle crew look like they're really pushing off. I mean, so we've got crew 139. We've got 137. So 139 are really making a move there. That is, if I look at my notes, University of Surrey giving Hampton Lions Boat Club a real run for their money.
Go Stags. Surrey, yeah, they've come a long way in recent years as well. They still train out of Molesey, I think. Do they?
I believe so. I think, Wilf, you might be our resident expert on this matter.
Is that Hampton School or
Sorry.
Surrey? Yes, I believe they do. Yeah, train out of Molesey, and yes, I think Hampton are on that stretch next door, aren't they?
Because when I trained at Molesey a few years ago, Sam Tuck was the head coach at Surrey, and he really brought the program a long way, and now he's really taking Molesey back up to the forefront, especially with their women's rowing.
If we go slightly silent, it's because
we are refreshing the results page, but there's still nothing.
Still nothing, but it hasn't said no.
Be assured, be assured. We it's not our internet. We have a very solid connection. So this looks like a sort of a mix of blades and kit there, but it's Exeter University Alumni Boat Club.
Yeah, another one of those great alumni crews. We had Taurus earlier, and I always think it's really nice, especially when people are brought together by such a wonderful sport, to be able to still come back and do it, even if maybe you're not at the top of your game.
Absolutely, and they were followed by another alumni crew, which I believe our very own Max will have been cheering for, from St Edward's Martyrs, so the St Edward's School Old Boys.
So I suppose coxers are quite lucky on this river that they don't have to navigate any really tight bridges. So if anyone's watched or raced at Head of the Charles, that is not really the case. There's much more narrow arches that often 2 or 3 crews will be trying to get around at one time.
Yeah, certainly. If you're anywhere near hitting any bridge in the race, then you're probably in the wrong place on the tideway. But equally, I suppose there's that challenge of sort of finding the right line on a very wide river, and also actually. The cox's job is the whole day, the whole outing, and on your way up to the start, you want to be near the banks to, as you're rowing against the flow, minimise the energy the crew has to expend to get up to the start. So you do have to know where the sort of shallow bits of the river are, especially rowing back after the race and things like that. So there is still some navigating to do, but you're right, Miles. There's no sort of tight turns or obstacles in the race, really, or that there shouldn't be if things are going to plan.
I feel like that's the thing. You have a bit less of the fear factor of kind of, as we said, tight bridges, tight turns, but you do have the kind of, I think the thing that really separates, as I said, a good cox from a great cox is where they sit in the river, because that stream makes all the difference, and it can it can give you 10 or something places even if you just row well in the stream versus outside of it. So I feel like that's where the real kind of intellectual prowess comes in terms of coxing.
Yeah, absolutely it can, and you need really, really good spatial awareness on this course to sort of know where you are. I believe we have some results, and it looks like Leander Club have won quite conclusively on the provisional results. 16:47, Brooks 16:56, so a 9-second win for Leander Club provisionally. Third place, London Rowing Club, that really strong boat from London we talked about with all those Henley winners from last year. Fourth, we have Oxford Brookes University, Boat Club B, so really strong boat of their club-based athletes. And we have Thames, a really good result from them after a bit of a defeat to London at the Bowstead Cup last week. And Leander Club B, London Rowing Club B in 7th place, so a really strong squad from London this year to finish in 3rd and 7th. And then rounding out the top 10, we have Oxford Brookes C, so they have won the academic pennant. Oxford Brookes D, so 4 boats in the top 9 for Brooks, and in 10th place Durham University Boat Club. I've got to say, congratulations to Will Fletcher and those Durham guys for that top 10. It's really, really impressive to get a student crew into the top 10 these days with the strength of club rowing. So really impressed with how that Durham boat has performed. Well done to Will Fletcher and his guys. We'll bring you some more results as well.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, absolutely outstanding performance from Durham. They've also won the Skirving Trophy, I believe, which is that the fastest non-Thames student crew, the Skirving?
Yeah, they will have done, the fastest non-Thames student crew, absolutely.
So, fantastic effort there. How are you feeling about these results, Miles?
I mean, it's, as we saw, it's a pretty dominant display from Leander Club. I think the gap has closed a little bit since last year, it seems, which is, again, maybe not what we would have thought visually looking at it, but yeah, I mean, it's probably what we would have expected. It seems like that Leander crew really pulled together well, and I think it's becoming a bit of a tradition that at Leander the build up to Eight's Head is pretty rocky. Sometimes takes quite a while to set the boat and really find a rhythm, but it always comes together on race day, which I think is like a testament to
I've got to say, I saw those guys row on Tuesday, I think, and it didn't look like it had quite clicked at that point, but watching them come past today, it was almost a different crew. They must have done some really, really good work in the last 4 days to get to that level. There's obviously incredible pedigree and horsepower in that boat, but I think they've done an amazing job to bring it together. I saw, the Brooks crew on Thursday looked very, very tidy, very clean, really nice rhythm. So really impressive from the Leander guys, because that Brooks crew is stacked as well. So to get a 9-second win, I think is a big day. 3 in a row now for head coach Matt Beachy there.
And a lovely kind of 2 headships for Leander, both on the women's side and the men's side. So
we must mention Cox Jack Tossum in that, who of course provisionally on today's results, but has now won the women's head and the eights head, both in the same year, 2 years running now. So really impressive from Cox Jack Tossum. I mean, what can you tell us about Jack, Miles?
Well, just get you a man/woman who can do both, that's I guess. So Jack's a great Cox. He really switches it on race day. He's got so much tideway experience. He won the boat race with Oxford in quite spectacular fashion. He goes between the men's crews and the women's crews really seamlessly, and I think he's able to adapt really well to their needs. He brings a really calm presence, especially on race day, which really you can have a lot of faith in as a rower in his boat, and again, just that familiarity with the tideway. He's great at translating what the somewhat obscure markers means in terms of real distance. For example, the bandstand. Still don't know what that is.
I'm going to be honest, neither do I. I have the bridges, and then I have I know Chiswick Bridge, Barnes Bridge, and then it's something about an island, and then you've got Hammersmith. And I think that's quite a nice place to be as a rower. It does mean that you're solely focused on kind of putting yourself in the boat, and I often find that it's sometimes better, and you probably don't have this as someone who's rowed at a far higher level than I have, but just kind of focusing in on what your cox is telling you, and that's all that matters, as opposed to anything else going on around you, I think is a good place to be. You give everything that you should be giving to the boat.
Yeah, definitely. You just have to lock into what they're saying. It's one of the things that makes long races like this a lot more manageable. Coxes just probably are the MVP. We see the comments. I have seen the bandstand, but it's so far away that it's.
We know that the bandstand is a bandstand. We know that it is somewhere along the course, but what that translates to is where you are in the race is, I think, where you kind of lose the perspective, isn't it? Whereas as a cox, you really have that locked in.
And anyone who does the boat race really knows the markers well. But to me, there's all these obscure things. There's like, we're going past the blue letterbox and the brown bench, and it's all like.
Yeah, I'm trying
to lock in, I'm not trying to go on a sightseeing tour, So that's my 2 cents on the tideway markers.
Which are the factories that you go past? Because there's a Heineken factory. Is there a bread factory as well?
There's a brewery.
There's a brewery.
The smell you're thinking of is the brewery, because of course, beer is liquid bread, as they say.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure that my second weehaw, when I was coming past the brewery, my cox went, "Let's get this bread." And do you know what? That actually really did a lot for me.
I like that.
But yeah, if anyone in the comments has any favourite tideway markers, let us know and we'll rate them.
Yeah, what's your favourite tideway marker and why? And then we'll let you know in a completely unbiased and very evidence-based approach.
One of the worst things about this race is that the Putney Pier bit is so long. That final sprint, it seems like it should just be 200 metres or so.
Indeed, and if you row as a junior and you're used to doing the school's head, that of course finishes about 500 metres earlier. So yeah, when you get to the start of that line of boats at Putney, you've actually got a probably best part of 2 minutes of rowing left.
So we've got a German crew just off the screen there, looking strong. Do you have any idea how many international crews are racing today?
We should know this, but I don't.
Oh, marks off for that.
Well, I think that we have the second of the Durham College crews. That was St Aidan's College Boat Club A that just went past, followed by the beautiful blue colours and white lions of Hatfield College Boat Club. No bias there at all. We've got Benabird there in the stroke seat, Anton Ball coxing. Anton has an absolute wealth of knowledge. He coxed a little bit at school and came in and has coxed my Women's 8 to victory several times. So a lot of Durham Regatta medals in that boat. It might not be Henley Women wins, but you know, you win some, you lose some. And I think we've got just kind of a bit of an armada of these Durham colleges coming through. This is Grey College Boat Club. Grey College, renowned for having a marquee instead of a bar and doing very good toasties. They're followed by Warwick University Boat Club, who I'm sure were not happy to be in the middle of all of the colleges marshalling because they were probably heckling each other the entire time.
That's fun. A bit of heckling at the start is always what you want to see. I think we need more of that in rowing.
I think it's nice when we come down to these big head races. I know that a lot of the colleges, when we're at kind of local regattas, there is a lot of animosity, but you get to these big races and it's just, we're kind of all happy to be there. I mean, this is Hill Bede Boat Club, St Hild and St Bede A. We've got some fun height differentiation in that boat. I mean, you know what they say, having a light bow pair is good. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, as long as they're pulling it doesn't really matter, I guess, if they're getting their blade in. So the bow pair in this boat that we're seeing now is doing a really good job. Sharp, you really want to be leading your crew, not beating them in, but getting your blades in sharp, just to make sure it's not getting too heavy. And we've got an overtake through the bridge here. Yeah,
that was University of Exeter C, who look like they're being challenged by first and third Trinity Boat Club A.
Here we go, we've got a 6-7 bucket here. There we go.
Oh, are you sure we can't talk about the bucket, or is it too soon?
Well, I was more excited about the 6-7, but yeah, there we go. God.
I think I live under
depressing.
A little bit of a rock. I'm really sorry.
No, that's okay.
I did see one of the bakeries
Childish.
on my high street had a bunch of biscuits in their front window the other day that all said 6-7 on them. I was very confused. I didn't know whether it was some kind of
it's a trend with primary school kids, I'd say, that's leached into the rest of our culture, I would say. And yeah, it's everywhere. I think if you're around school age kids, it's a big thing. Another bucket there we go at the other end of the boat.
Ooh, that is an interesting place. Now, I mean, not to talk about the dynamics of a bucket, but you do often see buckets put in boats maybe of especially strange buckets like this. I mean, this is Trev's College, Durham, Trevelyan College. That might just be because those two people actually just row a lot better behind each other, and it's less about the kind of the physics and the speed of it.
Yeah, it might be the case. One of the benefits of a bucket is that you can put people together who complement each other. If you want someone to row a certain length, put them behind someone who rows long, and they can kind of just copy what they do, I would say. But also you can't forget that a bucket is often part of a rattle rig, where if it's not going very well, you just chuck a bucket in. So, and sometimes that sorts it out. So maybe that's what was going on. We can't know.
I do remember that Collingwood College and Grey College, I think a couple of years ago, decided to attempt to qualify for Henley Royal, and unfortunately they weren't able to. But in their crew reveal, they had a battle rig, which was just all four bow side in stern fore and all four stroke side in bow fore, I think. And Yeah, and do you know what? They didn't manage to row it, but a good chance. I mean, okay, who have we got here? I think that's another Collingwood College Boat Club. That's, I think, crew 176. That is Eve Kempster in the stroke seat. Now, Eve was in the Collingwood quad crew that qualified for Henley Women's last year, which is incredibly exciting, both for Collingwood and for the girls in that crew. As well as just kind of the college scene in general, because to qualify for a Henley Women's event hasn't been on in a very long time from Durham colleges. And actually so I think Eve was in the stroke of that, and the 3 seat was Lizzie Bourne, George's sister. So yeah, no.
So how would you say Durham College rowing compares to Oxbridge College rowing?
Well, I think that the Oxbridge colleges have a far more intercollegiate program, so they do fewer British rowing races, whereas we have, I think, maybe 3 or 4 races across the year that are collegiate. 2 of them are novice based, and the rest is British rowing. So I think you often see a lot more Durham colleges out and about at things like Head of the River, Women's Eights, and kind of trialling for things like Henley and Women's Henley, just because they have the kind of, I don't want to say experience, because the Oxbridge colleges have them as well, but my first Women's Eights head, half the start list was culled because of the weather, and all of the Oxbridge colleges were culled, but about half of the Durham colleges were still able to row, and that's just because we had the points behind us to prove that we could handle the conditions. And so I think that's one of the big things. I do think that Oxbridge have the wonderful reality of having boat race athletes that peak in their season, in about a week's time, and then we'll all kind of float back to their colleges and bring that experience and that kind of that determination to their crews. So they have a very exciting summer season, whilst there is quite a big divide between Durham University Boat Club and then the rest of the colleges.
Yeah, so I guess what we all wish we could see is how those boat race crews stack up against our winners Leander Club. So the fixture would suggest it'd be pretty close. I think Martin Cross was really hyping up that Cambridge crew, and rightfully so, but my hope would be that with a bit more practice and
maybe fewer 2Ks,
a little bit more rest
immediately before,
the Leander boys would be able to put their bows in front. But that is clearly a very impressive Cambridge unit that we're going to get to see. But of course, you can't write off Oxford. They've got Harry Geffen, who's my long-term pair partner at stroking, so he's been pulling some incredible erg scores recently, which are top secret, of course.
Of course.
But it's going to be very interesting to see how they can do. I think they're certainly the underdogs, but I think it's been done before where underdogs have pulled off boat race wins, so we're very excited for that.
Absolutely. I always feel like the boat race, I think especially from a kind of like a layman's viewing, when I watch it with friends who don't row, their takeaway is, it's won by the cocks, because it's whoever can win the clash. Now, I don't know how representative that actually is, and obviously there is a huge amount of work that goes in from the athletes' perspectives, but I think that there is a slightly different racing style that comes with racing the boat race compared to kind of any other racing.
Yeah, I hate clashes. It's something that is maybe becoming more and more part of the fixture and boat race culture. It is, and like, if you have to deal with that, deal with it better than anyone else. But as far as I'm concerned, it's just a bit ridiculous when coxes kind of make it about them, and it really annoys me. And I suppose in the boat race there are tactical advantages to doing that, but especially if you're part of it, it annoys me when you can't have a clean race. I was rowing for Leander in a fixture against Oxford a few years ago, and we were just clashing constantly, and it turned the whole day into a complete waste of time.
Yeah, I think it's really hard because you do have the fact that there is a very strong stream on the tideway, and you're trying to get yourself into it as quickly as possible, and actually the way to win it best, sorry, I'm just seeing a cowboy hat in what I think
that's
is
got to be a Rate My 3-seat winner. There we go.
Yeah,
looking good as well.
Yeah, our current number one for 3-seat is this now. Let's try and find a bow number. I want to say it's Exeter-esque. That is
195. Swansea.
Oh, Swansea, you're a current three-seat winner. Well done. Yes, I think you do want to get straight into the stream and get away from the other crew as quickly as possible, and it does give you a real advantage if you can kind of wash them out with your wash. But at the same time, it sometimes feels like the spirit is lost in terms of the rest of the racing experience, because to have a head race side by side is incredibly unusual, if not almost completely not done anywhere else. I don't think, unless there's kind of a is this the John's Boat Club? Sorry, I'm getting very distracted recognising all of these boat clubs again.
That's a classic Empacher there. I've ridden quite a few of them in my time. There's still excellent boats there.
I think that one probably wouldn't get you as far as fast as you might have wanted to, but John's have a great coach, George Weston, who's currently at Durham doing a PhD in the biology department. Big shout out to George, who is unfortunately unable to row at the moment given his academic commitments, but who is doing a fab job of coaching John's, and who actually also coached me when I first got into a scull, which is very exciting. I thought, I can't leave university having learnt only to sweep on bow side.
And you didn't fall in?
I fell in the second time, I think. And to be fair, and I maintain this, I fell in on my own accord. My blade got stuck in the mud, and I was like, either I stay here or I tip myself in and try and get things sorted. But
I remember doing Tyne Head back in the day. Maybe it was Rutherford Head in a single and getting stuck in the mud and having to get out and push.
I only ever did Rutherford in 8, and that was painful, so I cannot imagine doing that whole stretch in a single.
Must have been Tyne Head. I was rubbish as well. I still am, but...
No, I would sit there and kind of marshal, and obviously all the 8s go off first, and you'd see all of kind of the juniors in singles, in doubles, in pairs, and you'd go, why are you doing this to yourself? Now, who is this? What to say? That's KS? Boat Club A?
Keys Gorge? I think it's Keys. There we go.
Keys,
Gonville and Keys
Saying
College.
it very nervously. I like their all-in ones. The light blue kind of, and these as well.
I was going to say those are really funky, and as we said earlier, it's great if you have a funky uni suit, because then it means that we can spot you from a really far vantage point up here.
So we were talking about kit earlier, and how more is always better. So Miles, I was wondering, how many all-in-ones do you reckon you have in your wardrobe?
And how often do you count them?
And how often do you wash them?
There was one point where I think when I was doing under 23s, I was roommates with Felix Drinkle, and we tried to count out how many all-in-ones we had. I reckon I've got upwards of 50.
Do you know, that's significantly more than I was expecting you
Really?
to say.
No,
I was thinking 25.
The funny thing with rowing is that you start off only having one or two, because they're expensive bits of kit. And so from my first 2 or 3 years, I had one stock Godfrey all-in-one and then another Godfrey Azra all-in-one. And then after that, I started accumulating them. And it gets to the point where on the senior team, you're getting 5 or 6 new all-in-ones a year easily. And so that can really build up quite a lot.
Gosh, yeah.
But you're training all the time, so you need them.
Well, that's the thing.
You do get through them.
And if you're doing 3 sessions a day and you're probably wearing your uni for all 3 and changing them, you do need, 21 unis for a week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, thank God for washing machines, I suppose. But I don't have a dryer in my current house, so there's uni suits on every single surface.
I do know what you mean about the accumulation. I mean, I do not have upwards of 50. I think I have, I'm going to say 5, but 2 of them were race unis for Senate Squad, which was a kind of an intermediary between college rowing and uni rowing. And they arrived about 6 months after I graduated and had not been rowing for 6 months. So, they're there as a memorabilia. Now, I think we might be moving on to our Masters cruise. If I'm not mistaken, this is crew 212, which is London Rowing I, and is, I think, our first Masters D.
So it might be a big weekend for the guys in that boat if they're racing at the Vesta Masters Head tomorrow, which we will be bringing you the official live stream of tomorrow. So yeah, I mean it's quite a big weekend to do two 6.8k pieces one day after another, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, we were talking about that a couple of weeks ago, weren't we, in terms of potentially the junior women's crews who raced at School's Head and then raced at Women's Head the day after. I mean, it's incredibly admirable, especially at kind of both ends of the spectrum when you're either a junior or a masters. And yeah, I mean, 6.8k is a horrendous amount of rowing to race in one day, let alone two. So yeah, big kudos to anyone who is doing the double bill of Eights Head and Vets Head.
Yeah, certainly very impressive. And the other thing that I just find really quite incredible is just the quality of these crews. Like, it's still at such a high level, and especially for me, coming from a small program in Aberdeen, there's 5 or 6 rowing clubs in all of Scotland that can compete at any kind of level. And so coming down here and seeing suddenly hundreds of clubs, each with 2 or 3 boats, really just like opened your eyes to the scale of rowing in this country. And I think like it's really cool seeing everyone come together and find out where they rank.
I mean, you're so right, and not to throw it back to Women's Eights again, but I mean, Women's Eights Head is the biggest women's sporting event in the world, which is kind of insane, and to have most of those crews coming from kind of, well, we'll say the local area in terms of United Kingdom. And it's just really, really lovely that we have that. I had a crewmate come over from Australia, shout out Bridget Somerville, who said that her favourite thing about British rowing was the fact that you did just have such an enormous depth just in kind of amateur rowing, which explains probably why the GB squad is so successful, because they have such a large pool to choose from compared to a lot of other countries.
And there's an amazing culture in a lot of these rowing clubs as well. Again, going back to my time at Molesey, the BK guys, the Breakfast Club, they really had a good time, and they were working so hard at their normal jobs, but still they were coming in to train twice a day, and they were always having a lot more of a laugh than a lot of the high performance guys were, and they went really quick as well. And I think if even looking at the final standings, when you see just how high up Thames and London come, even in regards to that Leander B crew, who are in effect all full-time athletes, and so it just shows the standard of these club rowers hit. Yeah. And that's part of what makes events like Henley so exciting, because even those club events are just such a high standard, and you get such competitive racing.
And I feel like I always come back to this, but it is why I'm kind of still so ingrained in the rowing community, even though I haven't touched a boat in several years. It's just the kind of person that is attracted to it is just lovely, because you get these people who fill their lives and are so determined and are so committed, and as we said earlier, you can't really row, but it actually doesn't really matter at what level you're doing it. Even at the very lowest level of rowing, if you are not all committed to the race, to the boat, and to each other, and if there isn't that trust there, it's just not going to work, and it becomes quite an unpleasant experience. And to have, I think we've got 375 crews racing today. 375.
That's a big entry for Head of the Row. I think it's been down as low as 320 some years. Of course, it used to always hit the limit of 420, so it's good to see that kind of that growth again.
I'm just relieved the water's okay for it, and we'll have to ask the people who have actually raced before we make any conclusions about it. But the amount of times races like these have been called off because high tide,
high fluvial flows or wind,
it's just gutting, because you put all this effort into getting your boats down here, putting your crews together, you train really hard for it, and especially with so many crews travelling from all around the world, a lot of the time you only find out the night before, and by that time you sunk so many resources into it. So even just the event happening and the experience of getting to go down this iconic course is really almost
really
like a
special.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the word for it.
You're spot on, and no rain so far, which is
Yes,
good
it's
for
been
us with
very
all
exciting.
our electronic equipment out here. But we
Yes.
do have our slightly
trusty
haphazard umbrella over our heads, just in
Yeah.
case.
We have done a risk assessment for this, I promise.
And I think anyone who's racing here is probably going to go and they'll have a nice time with their crew afterwards.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
it's part of the joy of events like
Yeah.
this, where because it's not side by side, there's perhaps less visceral disappointment in finishing down on a crew, because as long as you know that you've given everything that you could out on the race course, you've done what you can, and you can be proud of that, which makes it quite a lot easier to go and celebrate afterwards, and that's what really
Absolutely.
forms
Yeah, the
great
bonds.
memories. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's another St Andrew.
Oh, it
Crew,
is
isn't it?
St Andrew Boat Club.
See, yeah, the fact that St Andrew are putting out at least 2 8s is really, really impressive to me, and both to a really high level. I think that's a great sign for Scottish rowing. You were speaking about Edinburgh earlier, and my old club Aberdeen Schools at the Schools had a few weeks ago doing really well, both on the men and the women's side. So really cool to see the direction that's heading.
No, you're so right. I was thinking about what you were saying about having kind of less of a, as you said, visceral reaction when you're not doing potentially as well as you wanted to, or not placing where you wanted to, because it's not side by side. It's a little less comparative. And I think that because it's such a, I mean, it is a fight to the end. You know, you get to Hammersmith Bridge and all you can think about is, oh God, it's almost over, but I have so much left. It's that hand in the fire moment, the really, really digging deep and kind of doing it not for yourself, but for the crew. And that, yeah, you're right, it forges some real bonds. But also, I think having trained so much, getting to the end of it, you've put so much into it that having just finished it is a massive accomplishment.
Yeah, certainly, and definitely if you are racing in a boat with telemetry, for example, it becomes even more of a I can't be the guy that lets everyone down. And so last year when we were racing, I think the gates must have been a little bit off. So all of us, apart from our stroke man, Matt Rowe, were about 40 watts under what we expect to be seeing. So like in those top boats, probably most people will be wanting to be seeing above 380, 400 watts for the duration of that head. I think Wolf will probably know better.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Maybe
yeah.
360 for the lower end, and all of us were kind of seeing like 340, 320, and so everyone got to the end of that race last year and was like, oh God, so if we've lost this.
So Matt Rowe really carried the crew.
Yeah, that's what you could say.
I mean, how did you deal with that? Because I feel like a lot of people who maybe have slightly less race experience would have looked at that and been really demoralised of, I'm really giving this my all, why isn't it? Why am I not putting down the watts that I want to be?
Well,
but do you think that it kind of spurred you on almost because you were trying, as your level, like even more, you were pushing even more than you kind of might have done initially?
I think so, yeah. You're trying to hold those watts up. I'm not sure panic only gets you so far.
Yeah.
It was funny because visually I think we thought we were moving away, but we got to the end of the race and we were in that rattle row on the way back up. I remember Dan Graham was sitting behind me, was like, oh, they haven't put the results out yet. That's probably because the Cambridge 8 has beaten, the Cambridge second 8 has beaten us, Like, so you're getting so in your own head.
Yeah, you do. And I think, like you said at the very start, I think there's so many variables on this course. It's more often you finish and think, oh, was that kind of our best? I think it's rare. A lot of things have to go right for you to kind of do the piece and think, oh, that piece was just absolutely spot on the tideway. I think it's quite different to sort of a 2K course where there's fewer variables.
No, I think you're very right. And also just kind of the difference between rowing in a straight line where you are sat at the start and can see the end. There is something, slightly less demoralising about that. Whereas you sit at the start of the race of 8 heads and it's just a bit
And I think you're kind of, as you go around the bends as well, the sort of perspective you have, both as a cox or a rower looking back, is a little bit deceiving, because if your crew in front of you or behind you starts to turn the bend, they become a bit bigger in your field of vision and you think you're getting closer, but actually it's just, you're going from seeing straight on behind them to a bit of the side as well. So it can be sort of quite deceptive trying to work out whether you're moving away, or it takes a good few kilometres of rowing to and a good change in distance to see we have moved there.
Something I really like seeing with a lot of these crews here is that you can really tell there's quite big age gaps between some of the members, and I think that's something that's really cool to see in rowing clubs, when it's like you might not necessarily have lots of boats, but you've clubbed together and you've like made a project together, and it doesn't matter. Some people might be like still in school, some people might be 65 years old, and you're still
absolutely
all in it together, and all those people bring different things to the boat.
A good few crews out there, I think, who had athletes, who were already rowing before some of the people in the crew were born, and have kit older than some of the people in the crew.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just, again, it's a real testament to kind of the brand of person that gets sucked into rowing, and the kind of commitment that you have. You do just have such a... I
suppose it's described for J14s as catching the bug, isn't it? Either your kid will catch the bug or they won't, as they say when they're starting out.
When did you catch the bug?
Yeah.
Oh, well, when I was about 13, 14 probably.
Gosh.
Yes, yeah.
So, wow, you're going to get to a point at some point where you have been involved with rowing for a lot longer than you have been not involved with it, I think is
yes,
quite
it's one day.
It's a nice place
I won't say when. I won't specify a number, but yes.
Yeah. How old were you when you caught the bug?
I'm not sure. I might have been a bit later. I think I was never certain I was going to keep pursuing rowing. Oh, we've got another women's crew.
That this is, I want to say, what is that bow number? 244, which is the Dutch military rowing team from the Netherlands, and that was a women's 8 rowing. So really fantastic to see women entering into this 8's head too.
Yeah, showing up a lot of the men, it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a reminder that this isn't me-haw or man-haw, as a lot of people dying to call it, but it's 8's head of the river, which is open. So, hey,
it's interesting because I was thinking of it as being man-haw as opposed to women's haw, but like you say, it is open, so it is the 8's head.
So I think, in the history of 8's head, so we said it first began in 1926. But if I'm not mistaken, I think it was just 2 crews who decided to, hey, let's give it a go.
It was originally invented as a way just to get crews to do long sessions over the winter to motivate them for that.
And do you know what? It worked.
Well, it clearly has, yes.
Yeah.
100 years later, yes. Steve Fairbairn will be watching from the great enclosure in the sky, as they call it, and seeing his plan is still working.
Absolutely. I think, they probably saw boat race at that point. So, the boat race started in 1829. So we were 3 years off their 100-year anniversary. And clearly they went, well, do you know what? If it works for them, it will work for us. Let's do it the other way around. And they won't think we're copying them.
There you go, another St Andrew crew.
Yeah.
I think, anyway.
Well, you would definitely think by the blades, but I'm not seeing St Andrew on my list. Oh, no, I stand corrected. St Andrew Boat Club C for the Masters D category, crew 255.
And who do we have here?
Well, this is 259, so heading into the latter stage, this is the London Otters Rowing Club A crew.
Go Otters.
Go Otters. I'm trying to see. I like having this. Oh, is that Henry Miller in the stroke seat? No, it's not.
I think is a relatively new club.
I think so. I think they rode down near the London docks, didn't they?
I think on the docks in East London.
Yeah, I think they've got a good social media presence, which I'll go give them a follow.
Absolutely, and I think they really pride themselves on being a very kind of inclusive club for people to join. So, it's really nice. I think often in sport, inclusivity is sometimes left to the side. It's, let's just talk about the sport. I mean, with the heated rivalry mania that has hit us recently, I think, those conversations in a sporting context are sometimes left to the wayside. So, regardless of rowing prowess, it's wonderful to see clubs that make that their USP.
Yeah, and I guess it relates to what we were saying before about what makes being part of a rowing club so special, and I think that's something you can miss as you get to higher levels of the sport. But it's like that community rowing club kind of feeling, like that's what's more important at the end of the day than the final result. It's about everyone being active together and getting the best possible result, and then kind of not to be too wet about it, but the friends you make along the way, is at the end of the day.
No, absolutely.
Where most of the memories from this experience will come from.
And I think that's the thing that often keeps people going. Obviously, you might say different having it as your full-time job, but I know that I started rowing because I loved the sport, and I stayed rowing because I loved the people. And I think that it's really important, again, in such a team-based sport to have that. Oh, and we've got in the 5-seat of this crew 200 and... what is that? 265? Mercy Rowing Club A.
Overtaken as well.
Yeah, absolutely. In the engine room there. Now, I believe this is one of our international crews. Ooh, Atom as a a boat. Is that the boat's name or the boat code? 267. Basel Ruder Club Germany B. And that is a Masters D crew. So, they're doing a great job. This is, I think, another... Oh, we've got Bessel Ruder Club and Basler Ruder Club. So we've got Germany and Switzerland right next to each other. Yeah, that must have twisted the umpires up a little bit at marshalling.
There we go. So looking at the kind of kit that people are wearing, a lot of people still got quite a lot of clothes on. So a lot of these crews a bit further down the line will have really been waiting up at the start for a long time. It's just the nature of how it works. So it's impressive that they're still looking so limber.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say that I think the thing I noticed the most as you start getting into kind of the latter stages of the race and you see crews lower down is I think the biggest change for me is how long the blade stays in the air when you've got to the finish position. And I think that there's obviously there's a real skill that comes with just being able to place your blade in as quickly as possible and not losing that kind of momentum that you've got. But it does mean that sometimes you go slower. So you do see a few more layers in these later crews because they're potentially not sweating as much.
Yeah. Of course, I should have commented on it at the time, but Oxford Brooks were wearing their famous
fluorescent tops.
Yes.
Yeah. Dished out at the start of the day and handed back in at the end, I think. I guess you mentioned the crews further than starting all the way more layers. I suppose for some of these crews, it's a much longer outing than others. If you're starting down the order, if you boat from Putney, you have to row up to Chiswick. You're starting crew 300 and something, and then you've got to race down. You can be on the water for 4 hours, so you do have to make sure you've got enough warm kit with you and food and drink for such a long outing as well.
Yeah, it's a day trip, really.
It is.
And even just the time difference between these crews, I'm not sure what the winning time was today, but generally what is 16, 17
up
minutes
to 20 something. It's not, it's a few more minutes, but it's not I don't think, you don't see people taking sort of twice the time of the fastest crews or anywhere near that. But there is a difference in the length of the race there.
We'll see,
it can also be a long row back. If you boat from near the start, then you've got to row the whole course back. Although, of course, you can sometimes just slip your boat in, when your starting position is, 50 crews away and avoid waiting on the water for so long at the start.
Are either of you playing fantasy rowing?
Yes, I am. I don't know if I'm doing that well so far, but
I don't think I'm going to be doing well at all, considering I re-downloaded it today and just pressed the
Auto.
give me whatever you
As
want.
did our very
Yeah.
own Max. So yeah, a few lucky dips there.
Well, there we go. I chose not to play, so I wouldn't bias my commentary.
I see. Very, very professional of you.
Quite competitive, but
I think you should change that next
yes,
time.
no, exactly. I'll do, yeah.
Yeah, I purposely put my phone on the other side of the terrace so that I won't be sat there shrieking every time I get any sorts of points.
But I love it. I think fantasy rowing is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. I think it's a really good way to bring more attention to the sport, keep people involved all the way through the race, not just like sticking for one or two headline events.
Absolutely. I'm hoping to bring it to my office so that everyone there who has never touched a boat in their life will start getting as excited as I do, so that when it comes to Henley and I'm sat on my lunch break just watching everything on the live stream, I won't get judged as much.
Well, I'm thinking I'll need to check on the legality of it, but I need to chat to Ian from Fantasy Rowing as well. But I think I might offer up cash prize perhaps for Fantasy Henley this year. I think could
very
be
exciting.
fun. We might as well.
I mean, hey, do what you need to do to get everyone involved, am I right?
Yeah, exactly, and eventually we'll get some proper companies.
Hey, don't put yourself down. Believe in yourself there.
Well, yeah, there we go. We're going to be a global skincare brand one day.
Absolutely, yeah. You can start bringing out SPF that doesn't get sweated off. So
there we go. That's the plan.
Yeah,
is
you
it
get
The holy grail.
yeah, fewer people in the Catherine wheel looking lobster red.
Oh, of course. All made in the UK, of course.
Of course, yeah. I was going to say, where is all your balm produced?
So it's made in the Staffordshire Moors. So
Very nice.
Andy, who makes it for me, we work really closely together. So we developed the formula to make it perfect for rowers. He has 12 beehives that he uses, so it's all using our own beeswax, which is great because like we can ensure the quality of it, and there's nothing better than using local products. I think a lot of people don't know that about Feather and Square.
I didn't know that. Yeah, no, you should.
It's a very and that's something I really always want to stay true to, is keeping it
have
made
a little,
in the UK.
Little video, meet the bees, maybe.
Exactly, yeah, meet the bees. It's been a terrible winter for the bee colonies,
no,
unfortunately. You'll be devastated to hear. So, well, we've got to see kind of because it was so wet. They don't mind the cold, but the wet is terrible for them.
Okay.
Well, back to the actual rowing, I suppose.
Keep the bees in mind,
depressing.
people. We've got crew 284 on the screen, University College Oxford Boat Club. They are followed, not at all confusingly, by University College Durham.
Looking good, guys.
Yeah. So I think we'll get a good side-by-side of the differences between kind of Oxford and Cambridge rowing. Now, you've got a very kind of competent-looking stroke there. I will apologise in advance for Castle. Love you, Castle. You do great things. You're lovely people. But at least when I was at Durham...
You prefer Hatfield?
Well, all I'm saying is Hatfield as second oldest college and Castle as oldest college did a lot of competing against each other. And they never won. So...
Right, let's talk headwear. What would you wear when you were rowing? Were you a visor gal?
Well, what my go-to at the end of my rowing career was as many braids as I could braid into my hair, and then my Oakleys. Or my Folkleys. I was on a student budget. But yeah, so I ended up kind of being the crew hairstylist, and I did try and convince people to go in seat order. So bow would have one braid all the way up to stroke,
I love
having
that.
8. As you can imagine, that didn't go particularly well. But I was always a kind of a glasses over visor girl when I started getting really into it. As a novice, I was like, just put everything on my head just in case. Yeah.
I had Rory as my hairstylist this morning, and he was in a hurry and did it before my hair had dried, so I still look like I've just got out of the shower.
It's a wet and wild look.
It is indeed,
Yeah.
yeah.
At least we're off camera.
It needs more work.
It looks like
Yeah.
like this.
Miles, what was your headwear situation, or what is your headwear situation? I'm
I
assuming
like a visor, to be honest.
Yeah.
I normally always wear a hat of some sort, so either
Yeah.
a cap. My Feather and Square cap generally.
Sees a lot
No-
of mileage.
No
Yeah,
bandanas
seems a
or
lot.
headbands for anyone.
I've recently acquired a headband, so I might test that out in the air, but I
Okay.
don't think I'll be showing up in any races
Yeah.
anytime soon.
I was going to say, we're not going to be seeing a feather and square boonie on the world stage at any point.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I'll be wearing that thing every chance I get until they tell me to
I suppose
take
you
it
have
off.
very strict kit rules for the international events, don't you?
Yeah, I
Got to
suppose.
match socks and hats and things, haven't you?
Yeah, we've got Kukuri as our kit sponsor at the moment, which is pretty great actually. Their kit's been really nice so far. I think sometimes when new kit providers come in, there's a few teething problems, but they've set up really well, so I've got no complaints at all there.
Oh, brilliant. Are you? Do you have a favourite all-in-one brand?
Let me have a think. So Mizuno have put out some really good ones towards the end, which I'll say are very similar to the Kukuri ones we have right now, which are pretty. It's everything you need, quite lightweight. I think 776 is too thin.
Oh,
Personally,
really?
yeah, I'm not, and I don't
Okay.
like the elastic. Pulls out my leg hair. So
Fair
maybe that's a controversial opinion, but
No.
I don't love that. I prefer for old school JL, and I've actually got a few of the newer rival kit all-in-ones, which I'm a big fan of.
Ooh,
They've done a
okay.
lot of development.
Yeah, because I started off with Mizuno and I really liked their thickness, but I don't know whether it's the way that women's all-in-ones are cut, but that all-in-one mixed with quads, it just I would end up coming out of the boat with about 3 inches less kind of short than I did when I got in. We tried rival kit a little bit, but I thought that those were too thin. But 776 I loved because of the elastic, because it just meant that I didn't have to worry about any kind of bunching, and I thought that they fit really well, and it felt more like a race suit. It felt streamlined, you know?
Yeah, they certainly do feel it. That's what the Leander ones are at the moment, and I like they're good enough, especially for racing. I think they're okay. I think for me, if you're doing long mileage, they're not as comfy as ones that have a little bit more padding, and I find they're not always as breathable. And maybe that's older iterations. Like when they get wet, it feels like you're just wearing a bin bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And you don't
be
want it to
less
get quite
splashy
wet.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also, I mean, this obviously changes across whoever is wearing them, but certainly in the crews that I've raced in, one of our pre-race rituals is shaving our legs for free speed.
Same.
So, oh well, then why is your leg hair being pulled
Yeah,
out?
there we go. Oh, you got me. Yeah, I think like rowers, like any athletes, really become so superstitious that you really develop a lot of pre-race
So
routines.
Yeah, I mean, in my first year, kind of in my first proper season of rowing, we attempted to qualify for Henley Women's, very much did not do so, but one of the things that I got from that Henley Women's weekend was a set of, I think it was rival kit tie-dye blue socks that matched my uni. And I think there was very little sock left when I got to the end of my university rowing career, but did I wear them every race? Yes.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. I think I've got very few remnants of kit left over from my junior rowing career, but I do have a pair of tartan leggings from Asro, which make a appearance every now and then. But there's quite a few guys in the team who can still wear their old school kit.
Gosh.
But unfortunately, I've put on about 30 kilos since I left school. So
I also feel like definitely in the rowing world, given everyone's propensity for length, you probably do outgrow kit quite quickly. You kind of just shoot up, don't you?
yes, yeah, exactly. That's the curse of it, really. Well, we've got an overtake here coming through the bridge.
That's Imperial College Boat Club F coming for, well, some very fancy headgear there. In which crew is that? That might be 306. You know, that looks like it's Liverpool University Boat Club.
I
so
don't think
Liverpool-
it's their kit. I think it might be someone else. That looks like Sheffield University on your screen now to me. Sheffield University C.
Yeah, but we had Liverpool with some very funky headgear a couple of moments ago, being who I think had done a good job of overtaking.
And
then,
now we have the Newcastle novices coached by our very own Max. So they've been sending in a few comments full of love for their coach, Max Maddox. Doing it for him out there today. He's got the binoculars glued to his eyes and he is proudly watching his charges charge down the course through Hammersmith and on towards the finish line.
That's
you
what
can
you
see
want.
he is overcome with emotion and delight and pride. There are nearly tears in his eyes. He's that excited.
If you hear a splash, it might be Max throwing Wilf into the Thames.
Apparently, Aberdeen Boat Club has won the small
That's
small
so
club's pennant,
fantastic.
which
Well,
my dad has said in our family.
Excellent.
Yeah, he's listening to the more informative live stream. So if you want actual, stay right here. Stay right here.
Stay right here
Yeah,
for
we're
all
in
of the
the-
information that you need.
Now you see some of these, I think St Andrew have very Scottish players, but a few of these Scottish clubs have very distinctly Scottish kit. And of course we're joined by our favourite Scotsman. Notice the number plate on the car with the little Scotland logo this morning.
Yeah, well, that's what they do up there. You know?
Yeah.
But, it was a long drive down.
Did you come all the way from Scotland today?
Yeah, no.
Oh, when
just
you
for this,
moved?
live from Hammersmith.
Can hear the cheers from the bank there all the way.
Yeah, Hammersmith Bridge is still pretty packed with fans, even in these later stages of the race. You get a really good roar coming under there, and I think I'm sure if you looked at the speed trackers for a lot of these boats, they get a massive boost coming under there.
Absolutely, and when the GPS goes out and comes back in, it gives you that boost as well. But yeah, it's absolutely electric out there. It's absolutely packed. There's literally no space at all on the bridge. Thousands of supporters here to cheer the crews on. Honestly, the only thing that beats it, I think, is a final at Wembley. This looks like Exeter colours. I'm going to try and spot the bow number. I can see an EX on the bow. 310, so that is Exeter University Boat Club D. Perhaps we are into some of the beginner crews here. What does our stars order say? I think that might be the case. Yes, academic beginner crews. Yes, no, we've seen a good few of them. There's some very, very tidy looking novice crews out there today from various universities. So, a lot of these athletes will come to university having never rowed, of course, and in the space of a few months be brought up to the standard where they're coming to race with some of the fastest rowers in the world here at the head of the river. And it's a real testament to coaches, a lot of whom are volunteers, such as Max Maddox, who coaches the Newcastle novices.
You're playing some favouritism there, Wilf, I think.
This looks like it might be some of the guys from Bath.
No, this is my phone. Okay, no, this is. I've got one of these chargers.
Apologies for the lull in commentary there. We've all been sat down for a while, so there's just some stretching going on.
Miles has just got to get his phone on charge as well.
There's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that you guys just don't get to see.
Non-stop Snapchatting from the commentary desk. This looks like another Exeter University novice crew, looking very smart in their matching T-shirts.
Yeah, I think that's crew 315, University of Exeter E. And then we've got another little battle paddle going on here. Sheffield University D, looking a little choppy.
Alongside Cardiff, perhaps there. So yeah, more these beginner crews. You've probably only been rowing 6 months and then coming down here to the Tideway and doing a 6.8k race. It's a big ask. I mean, you took up rowing at Durham at Hatfield College. Did you do women's head in your first year of rowing? I
didn't, unfortunately. I had the joy of having my freshers year in 2020.
I see.
I didn't touch a boat until May of my freshers year, at which point I told them with great confidence that I had rowed before and knew how to row. My only rowing experience came from having been in a boat once whilst my mum rowed, and I'm pretty sure that it was actually like a rowboat. It was not a shell by any means. She'd coached me a bit on the ergs, and that's all I had going for me, but I'm quite a dive in the deep end person, so 5 weeks after stepping into my first boat, I did a 4 at Hexham Regatta, my favourite regatta. I did atrociously, and I had the best time, so came back the next year, and that was my first women's 8's head, would have been then 2022. And we kind of did a whole slew of races. We tried to qualify for women's Henley, again, to no avail, but we did win Durham Regatta, so yeah, it was quite a choppy start. I think it was quite a hard time to take up rowing.
I agree, no, it certainly would have been.
Yeah, if you didn't go straight, if you weren't coming from a school programme and you weren't going into a kind of a very structured university programme, it's quite hard. And I think the Durham colleges, I think that's actually going back to our conversation about differences between Durham and Oxbridge colleges. All of the Durham colleges are entirely student-run, student-led, with no formal coaching. And so you often develop very specific styles because the rowing is learnt just from one year to another with no kind of formal coaching.
It's like UCL just gone through there, and perhaps University of Leeds on the screen now.
I think so, yeah. That is a very powerful looking 5-seat there in the engine room.
Just the ambient noise, maybe. A few shout-outs for South College, I guess. South College Durham in the
absolutely
shout there. Who's this? University of York novices just coming into Hammersmith Bridge now.
Oh, yes. And who have we got following them?
So one of the great things about this race, of course, that you have these beginners who might only have been rowing 6 months, that it might be one of their first big races, and they're racing on the same water on the same day, the same race as Olympic medalists and world champions in the first couple of crews.
That's the very exciting thing, isn't it? And even if you're not right up with them in the racing line, you do get to see them go past, and there's a real kind of buzz that you get from that, don't you?
See them on the way up to the start, and you do. When you're a novice rower, you're sometimes starstruck by those Olympians coming past you, looking very slick, hopefully.
I think starstruck, as long as you are aware of the kind of the pedigree that you are surrounded by.
Yes, I'm sure most rowers get very
locked in.
Very locked into the rowing world, and soon learn, especially nowadays with social media, they can pick up and follow some of those GB squad athletes. And
absolutely. I mean, just a shout out to Janice, in the comments, watching from Philly. Thank you so much. I don't know what time it is for you there at the moment, but I hope Tom and Trudy have done or are doing a fantastic job on the river.
Here we go. So as we are in these more beginner events, you can really pay quite close attention to the technique. So it's like at this late stage in the race, they're doing really well if they're still getting their blades in the water at all. And the crews that will be doing better are the ones that can just be cleaner really at this stage. So earlier we spoke about how important physiologies were, but as you get down to slightly slower moving boats, that technique becomes more and more important. And a lot of the time it's like who can just keep on putting their blades in the water, taking them out at the same time.
Well, because that's the thing, is when you get tired, I think probably at most levels of rowing, the tech is the thing that goes first, which is why they always say, do your core at the end of a session so that your core knows to stay switched on when you're tired. And it's, I think the tech really goes, and often when people aren't used to rowing together and they don't quite have the same rhythm, and perhaps they don't have the rowing strength built up, when that tech goes, it does become quite an interesting boat feel, I think. especially not just when you're not getting your blade cleanly in, but you're also dragging your blade across the water, like we saw a few boats ago. I mean, maybe if we find a kind of a good novice crew to have a look at, you can kind of take us through what it is they're doing and where they might be able to do a bit better. I mean, this crew is looking quite tidy, I have to say.
I was just saying, like, a lot of them are actually looking like a really high level.
Yeah.
I imagine a lot of these crews will probably be moving up in the rankings. I would say it seems to me like there's a lot of experienced rowers within here. Like for example, you can see they're really quite sharp.
Yeah, I think that's a Leeds University club. That might be, 337 University of Leeds Boat Club B.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got a very good programme. They come to a lot of the northeastern races, and they're seen as quite a university powerhouse, I have to say.
I think we might be out of the beginner cruise again, possibly, or we're past the academic beginner category, which is
yes, academic beginners finished a while ago.
A little more proficiency, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think coming up next might be crew 339, the Dart Totnes Amateur Rowing Club B. Dart Totnes actually did a fantastic job last year of getting a men's 8 qualified and through 2 races. Yep, there they are, at Henley Royal. Now, their 5-seat from that boat is unfortunately not rowing for Dart Totnes. At the moment, he's rowing for Gloucester, so I think he was crew 228 a few boats back, and it's actually Gloucester's first boat that they've entered at 8's Head since about 2019. So quite exciting that they're getting people back in the boat. So I'm sure that Isaac will now be off the water, or at least going back. So I hope that they have had a successful first turn down the tideway in a while.
Lots of crews bunching up together here. That 342.
Oh, can I just bring your attention to the 5-seat in this boat, who's donned a fantastic mullet. I'm so sorry if you missed that. You can see from the water it's definitely not a calm day. There is a bit of a crosswind there, which I think has probably not helped with some people's lining up. But crew 341, Milton Keynes Rowing Club A, is doing a stellar job of keeping on. And actually, I haven't seen a lot of Milton Keynes. Shout out to my sister. Thank you very much for watching this entire thing. Love you, Ruth. I know that you don't know anything about rowing, but I hope that you've had a good time watching this.
Watching from South Africa as well.
Yeah, she is based in Johannesburg. She's a lecturer in labour rights in the developing world.
Very exciting.
So word on the street is we might be going back on there might be camps to South Africa in the future.
Oh, hey, if you
as happened in the Redgrave days, I believe.
If you need anyone to come along and just get some really good content, let me know.
Exactly, yeah. I think they used to go on like cycling camps back then.
Oh, because a lot of people
probably just wishful thinking. We go to Sierra Nevada a lot, and realistically, that's where we're going to be again.
Yeah, there are a lot of cycling camps in Mallorca, aren't there? Because there's a lot of good cycling routes, and I think you can kind of call it altitude training.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of teams doing altitude training on the international scene. It hasn't quite filtered down to club level yet, but I'm sure it's only a matter of time before some clubs start packing their bags over winter and heading up a mountain. Oh, look, something's happened in the stroke seat here. I hope
it looks like his seat has come off. I have been there. That's always very rough, especially when it's such a there's still so much of the race going.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose almost in stroke seat, it's almost better than that happening somewhere in the middle of the boat, because it disrupts fewer people. But yeah, I'm sure they're trying to get that fixed as soon as they can. Hopefully they're all right.
just see some of the crews on their way back to their host clubs here. So, like we said earlier, it can be a long row back if you boat from anywhere that's not near Putney, and quite a hard row after doing nearly 7k flat out to then have to paddle all the way back to your boating location.
I was going to say, would you rather for both of you? Would you rather boat at Putney and row up to the start line, or boat at Chiswick and row back from the finish line?
Well, ideally, you find someone nice enough to drive the trailer from Chiswick to Putney during the race. But I think I would say boat at Putney, and then you've got the whole course to do your warm up. You need that time and that distance to warm up anyway, and then you do the race. You just paddle back through the bridges and you're back in. So I think I've never boated from the other end of the course, but I think Putney's probably preferable to Chiswick, certainly.
How
Yeah,
about
we
you?
normally boat out of Fulham Reach, which is an amazing setup. It's very, very impressive there, and that's always quite good. I suppose the row back is quite a good opportunity to flush out the legs, but and a lot of the time, if you don't know the result anyway, you're almost better off being able to put your mind to something and at least keep rowing, I suppose.
Yeah.
So I don't mind it really, but especially with the medal presentations all happening over in Putney, it tends to be. It might be more convenient, perhaps, if you were boating out there.
No, I have been to one of them as a coach. Sorry, I have. Yeah, I was about to say I've never been to one of those, but
They're very exciting.
I have.
Oh, I have to take your word for it, guys. I think I've watched from the sidelines a couple of times, but no, maybe one day Camilla will have me as her assistant up there.
So this looks like Marlow Rowing Club. I think we might be into perhaps some more Masters crews. Can we see a number there? What do we
They don't
reckon?
look like Masters.
That's
In a good way.
Is that 362?
It might well be. So sorry, that is.
Yeah, Marlow Club D.
Yes.
And what are they? What is CJ? God, we're working
Possibly
everything out at the moment.
this might be the Club Junior
Juniors,
category.
yes.
I don't know.
Do you know what? That make a lot of sense. Fantastic deduction skills there, Wilf.
Yeah, I think it might be. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think this is juniors.
So there'll be a bit of a jostling potentially to try and get, because they're not all going for the same awards. Got 3 Jackson and 1 Page, but I assume that is based on where they are, because Marlow is going for the Page Trophy, so I believe that will be a Thames based club trophy as opposed to a non-Thames based. Oh,
I think the rain might just have started.
Absolutely, you can see it slightly there on the live stream.
Yeah, it's here.
Yeah,
It was
and
in the
we've
forecast.
got the wonderful British weather giving us beautiful blue skies and sunshine and rain. So yeah, best of all worlds, really.
Another boat from Marlow Rowing Club there, just heading past us.
It looks like we've now come out of those club juniors, maybe into club beginners. Now that's crew 367 that I can see there in terms of bow numbers. We've got City of Cambridge Rowing Club F. They are lining up against a crew that has lost its bow number. There have been some shenanigans on the Tideway today.
The marshals will not be happy about that.
Not one bit. I think we've seen far fewer lost bow numbers for this eights head, because the women's eights head, I mean, it got to a point where almost every other boat was missing one, but then having spoken to some of the athletes afterwards, their marshalling was, I hear, quite difficult. So into the final few crews. We've got a lovely kind of engine room of boys there with 4 girls bookending them. I couldn't quite see what that bow number was, but lovely to see kind of inter-squad camaraderie there. Potentially they didn't have enough men to race, or maybe they just wanted to give their top 4 men the best shot possible. But really lovely to see them rowing together.
And I feel like we're sort of camping under this umbrella here.
Yeah.
Who do we have?
We've got some stripes. Now, who is this?
Show us the bow number, George.
Come on, George.
There we go.
Yay. Crew 372, Sudbury Rowing Club A. Gosh,
This
which
looks like a
means-
women or a mixed crew,
Yes,
judging by the
another
hairstyles.
one.
Yes.
Yeah, the woman leading the way in the stern there.
Yes, they are. Oh, and I think some more here. Cruise 374, Corpus Christi College, Cambridge. Another engine room of men with women bookending them. Again, some of these clubs have quite small squads, so this is what allows them to race, and potentially they didn't have the numbers to race at Weehawken, so this allows their women's crews to race as well. I think we've got a similar situation here.
I reckon it's club mixed.
That will explain it. Yes, my powers of deduction today are not particularly good, but I think we are getting kind of mixed crews in the international circuit, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely.
So-
It's becoming more and more of a thing. Even at the World Champs in Shanghai, there's a mixed day, and there's a mixed double. I think that's the extent of it at the moment. But yeah, there were really close races in Shanghai, so it certainly can lead to very interesting racing.
Yeah, and it's nice to see kind of what's happening on the international circuit reflected on more home rowing, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, and I think especially if it's enabling smaller clubs to compete, I think it's a really great thing.
We've got now Vesta Rowing Club I think this is club beginners, so doing a stellar job of making their way down the river. They're closely followed by 375, another of our club mixed crews from Worthing Rowing Club A, and I think with that, unless Worthing Rowing Club have really... oh yes, there we have the launch. So I think there might be one more coming up. Worthing clearly had a great overtake.
The sun's coming out again.
That's good, because we've had to lower our umbrella slightly, which meant that I think especially for Miles was a bit of an uncomfortable sit.
I think I'm about 2 inches shorter than I was about 15 minutes ago. I've been hunched right over. But yeah, I think, is that launch not the last one? I think so.
Okay, I think with that, the boats are gone and we're done. Thank you so much for listening to us. I think we're going to do a quick wrap up, so you can see our lovely faces again. But yeah, I hope you have enjoyed watching the boats go past today.
Well, at least it's not expensive.
It's like when you hear a boat hit a bridge and you're like,
Good crunch.
expensive, yeah.
The people are disappearing off Hammersmith Bridge, so you know it's over.
Yeah, it's funny how quickly they just... rower's dream, isn't it? Having as much stash as possible.
And chasing it.
Squeeze in the middle again.
Absolutely.
And with that.
And yes, we are back just to wrap up a few things here. So, I mean, looking at the results, start with the top end. Quite a conclusive win for Leander over Brooks today. 9 seconds. Were you expecting to see, I guess, such a big margin of victory for kind of that level of crew and level of racing?
That probably is about what I would have expected, maybe a little bit closer, but I think especially because Leander had that experience racing the fixture, which they definitely learned from as well, that's probably benefited them coming into this. And on top of that, they've definitely got that, they had that fire of really wanting to do that and bring it home, especially there's a few guys like George Bourne and James Robson who are like, I guess, new to winning the head. George especially, I think, because he was a scholar who's just come to sweep. I suppose he must have done it with Durham, but this is for a lot of them that'll be their first win. Whereas for a lot of the Brooks guys, they were winning for years and years. So
You're quite right there, and you mentioned James Robson. Absolutely incredible sort of powerhouse in the 6th seat of that 8, and I think someone you would want there on a day like today, sort of churning out the watts in the 6th seat. And of course George Bourne, who's switched from sculling to become world champion in that 4 with Robson, Dan Graham, and Dow de Graaf, who were all on board that Leander cruise. So very impressive sort of display of dominance from them. Looking down to 3rd place, which was London Rowing Club. So your club crew, I guess a lot of those rowers with full-time jobs, lots of Henley winners from last year from their Thames and Wyfold boats. Really impressive result there. I imagine that we will see them racing perhaps the ladies' plate at Henley. Any thoughts on that one?
Well, I mean, we talked about how successful London were last year in their Henley campaign, and it feels like they've done a fantastic job of kind of bridging their seasons and bringing that energy to this head season from last year's regattas, and I think that they can only move up from that because they've got the experience in regattas. They've shown that they have prowess kind of across different race types, so I can only imagine what they're going to do when it comes to Henley.
I think they had a B boat coming 7th or so really strong squad there. Brooks, of course, 2nd place, also 4th place from their largely club-based athletes, and the academic pennant with an 8th place. So still some really strong depth in that squad, 4 crews in the top 9. Rounding out the top 10 was Durham University, your old university, of course, and quite a big result for them. We haven't seen them near the top 10 for a few years. I think only 2.5 seconds behind Brooks in that academic category. How excited are you for that Durham squad going through the rest of this season?
I mean, I'm incredibly excited. I know that when I was at Durham, but also kind of for the last couple of years, especially when it comes to Henley, they may not have come with their best foot forward. And so to see them have such a fantastic result, be so close to Brooks, which we kind of really recognise as, I guess, the pinnacle of university rowing. I can't imagine the joy that those men will have coming off the water, and I think it really will serve as a fantastic launching point coming into regatta season. We've got Bucks Regatta coming up in about a month's time, so I think we'll have a look and see whether they've managed to pivot their training from head season to regatta season well enough to really be able to tackle those 2Ks, and I think that will give us a good idea of what Henley will look like for them.
Yes, yeah, and then in 11th we had Marlow Rowing Club, so they will be the winners of the Page Trophy for the fastest Thames upriver club. Anything we can say about Marlow and how much that programme's come on in the last few years?
I think that we thrilled with that result, really. I think, I was wondering if they were going to sneak into the top 10, but I think, I know they'll been happy with anything like top 15 kind of, and especially if they're coming home with the pennant, then that's really great. I think it's only going to get better from here for them as well. I can really see them continuing to climb. They're getting more and more athletes on board, athletes coming over from other parts of the country, and yeah, I think that's definitely going to translate into a top 10 finish probably next year and even higher going forward.
Absolutely. I mean, as Miles was saying, it's kind of become another of those Thames powerhouses that you see people going to, and when they're leaving maybe the international circuit, and so they have such a depth of knowledge now. It's hard not to imagine them just kind of building and building.
Absolutely. And in terms of sort of the squad for you and some of the athletes we saw today, what's next, Miles? What can we look forward to seeing from our GB rowers over the coming months?
So, for a bit of background, the squad guys who are racing today had about a week in their 8 to get that together. Before that, we jumped into pairs because we've got April trials in about 2 weeks, which is going to be really exciting. There's a lot of pairs that could go really quickly. I think the field is going to be really strong this year, so it bodes very well for the team. And I think it'll be some great racing.
Excellent stuff. So tomorrow we have the Vesta International Masters Head of the River, which we are the official live stream for tomorrow, so do tune in again on YouTube. Race starts at 2 o'clock, so we'll be on air shortly before that, so do have a watch of that. I just want to say thank you very much to Sasha and Miles for joining us and for their fantastic commentary today. Team up here, we've got Max and George, who's been on the camera all afternoon bringing you those fantastic shots of all the crews racing. And out there on the river, well, not on the river, but on the bridge, we had Alex taking some fantastic photos from the bridge, and over on the bank we had Callum taking some wonderful pictures from there. And then Rory was on Chiswick Bridge getting some 4K slow-mo video clips, all of which are available to purchase either on their own or in a package, including all the photos from both angles and the race video over at www.allmark.one. So do go and check those out. Your support also helps us to bring you live streams like this. And thank you to British Rowing for giving us their rooftop again. We'll be back here tomorrow for the Masters Head of the River, but for now, bye bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Right.